Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. What I'd love to do today is go through a book, and the book that I've picked to talk about on this walk and talk through Sydney University is entitled The Happiest Toddler on the Block, a book that was published a long time ago, back in 1970, when I was only 10 years old. And this book was written by Dr. Harvey Karp. So let's see what we can learn. We'll go on a walk and talk and see what we can pick out of this book, because it looks like some of the messages here are timeless, even though it was written quite a few years ago. These messages, these observations and these learnings, as I said, are applicable today and illustrate and explain things in ways which I find really interesting and valuable. So this book here is a must-read for every parent or would-be parent. It's a very detailed, helpful book on raising well-behaved toddlers, if that is indeed possible. Dr. Harvey Karp's illuminating guide transcends the typical parenting manual to offer a genuine translation guide for the foreign language of toddlerhood. So let's see what we can glean from this and work out if there's anything that we can use, and I'm sure there is, because the very, very first lesson, the very, very first point to come out of this book is an absolute beauty, something that I'd never considered myself, and I'm sure there's many more interesting learnings to come from this book. So the first lesson and key point is where we look at the primitive brain revelation. Understanding that toddlers operate from their primitive brain transforms how adults view those public meltdowns. When a child collapses in the grocery store over a denied cookie, parents aren't dealing with a manipulative mastermind, but they're with a little cave child who is overwhelmed by big emotions in a confusing world. This perspective helps shift us from judgment to compassion and helps change everything. We look at the fast food rule for communication. Karp's ingenious approach acknowledges feelings before delivering solutions, and this works miracles. Just as adults hate hearing "calm down" when upset, toddlers need validation first. Meeting a child's frustration with "you're mad, mad, mad" about the broken toy before offering solutions helps tears dry up much faster than spilled juice on a summer sidewalk. The author introduces a technique called the Toddlerese technique. Learning to speak toddlerese using simple language, repetition, and matching their emotional intensity. Feels unfamiliar at first, but mirroring a toddler's frustration with no bath, no bath, creates a moment of recognition on their tearful face. Children need adults to meet them where they are. That in itself is a key, a golden point. Children need adults to meet them where they are before guiding them where they need to go. Another key point that comes from this author is that time in trumps time out. Replacing isolation punishments with connection-based discipline reveals that what looks like bad behaviour is often disconnection. Drawing a child closer rather than banishing them to the corner teaches everyone that challenging behaviour is a bid for attention and guidance, not an excuse to reject them. Another point that comes from this author is where he talks about the gossiping strategy. When children overhear parents gossiping about their good behaviour to others, it sparks more cooperation than any sticker chart could ever achieve. Such as, I saw how Alex shared his truck today. He's learning to be so generous. Taps into children's desperate desire to be seen in their best light. Another point that comes from this author is where he talks about prevention actually beats perfection. Karp's practical prevention strategies, such as carrying healthy snacks, respecting the sacred nap schedule, limiting choices, spares countless public meltdowns. So as a parent, what the author here is saying is that we need to be organised and we need to be prepared to help our toddlers not to fail. Parents learn that engineering success beats handling failure every time. Parenting shifts from reactive to proactive, from firefighter to architect. The respect principle, treating these little humans with dignity, giving warnings before transitions, offering limited choices and acknowledging their perspective, without doubt builds a strong foundation for mutual respect. Things such as, in 2 minutes we're leaving the park, honours their personhood in a way that builds cooperation rather than resistance. We talk about the emotional deposit system, creating a savings account of positive interactions protects against the inevitable withdrawals of discipline. 5 minutes of focused floor play in the morning pays dividends when cooperation is needed at bedtime. This isn't manipulation, it's relationship maintenance at its most essential. And the last point that comes from this book is where the mirror of self-reflection is considered. In a way, this book holds up a mirror to adults' own emotional regulation regime. How can parents expect toddlers to manage disappointment gracefully when adults lose composure over spilled coffee? Children's tantrums become invitations for parents to heal their own emotional responses. This book begins as a search for techniques to control children's behaviour, and it concludes with the understanding that the real journey involves learning to control adult responses while honouring other humans' emotional experiences, even when that human is 3 foot tall and wearing mismatched socks. Take care, everybody, and bye for now.